Hail, bird of prey. 5. Hail, Karuga.
Qapla!
Qapla.
I'm going to take this opportunity, however, to suggest that we all hail Karuga. That's all I'm saying.
Forgive me, Doctor. I'm receiving a number of distress calls. I don't doubt it.
Y'all remember to tip your waitresses. Have a mighty fine night.
If you come in peace, surrender or be destroyed. If you're here to make war, we surrender.
Both good. The important thing is I'm needing new people.
When the appointed hour arrives, the Marauders will deactivate their cloaking devices and begin transporting Klingon shock troops directly to the landing zone.
Landing zone? Where? Tell me.
Why not? Your feeble weapons will be useless against us. We will kill all your males and take your females to mate with.
All right. Now the Federation's taking over, whether you like it or not. You people, you've been running this planet like a piecework factory. From now on, it's going to be under one roof. You're going to run it like a business. And that means you're going to make a profit.
Look at these 3 words written larger than the rest, with a special pride never written before, or since. Tall words, proudly saying, "We the people."
Hi, I'm Nicole DeBoer. I played Lieutenant Ezri Dax on DS9, and I welcome you to Bird O' Prey 5 channel. Hail Karuga.
Hello world, it's Bird O' Prey 5, Qapla. And yes, that was a 1 in 1,000 chance that I actually caught John Araki giving us a 99-cent super sticker as I was updating the intro credits for today's stream to add on the fact that DJ Play Nice had become a new member in the last 24 hours. And as I was recording it, John Araki decided to give a 99-cent super chat before the stream began, and it just so happened that it got recorded to the opening credits. Of course, I'll have to delete these opening credits for next time now, but for today and today alone, it was the perfect time for John to do that. It would have been a little bit more perfect had it been Kissing Dax, of course, but it wasn't. But that's it is what it is. So welcome all to Star Trek Enterprise Wednesdays. Today we will be watching Season 3, Episode 2, Anomaly, the second episode of the 3rd season. It premiered September 17th, 2003. We'll get to it in just a minute. Jim's Landscape Commodore Productions was number 1 in the chat today, says hello. And to please check out his 8-second test TOS flyby video, which I did check out last time. And it is indeed just a quick 8-second video, and everybody should check it out now. John DeMarco says hopefully Enterprise Wednesdays is not going to run out of stem bolts anytime soon. Not self-stem bolts, stem bolts anytime soon. Indeed, because self-sealing stem bolts haven't been invented yet. John Araki calls it a nap stream and puts in his 99-cent super sticker. Thank you, John Araki, although hopefully not a nap stream today. In a surprise change, I actually got some decent sleep Not so much last night, but a bit of a nap this morning. So maybe we'll be okay. We'll see. And I put in the link for everybody. If you're new here, you want to watch Star Trek Enterprise, you can watch it live in the screening room while this stream is live. Or if you don't want to go to the screening room or you're not watching live, then you can watch Enterprise on your own. If you have a streaming site like Paramount Plus or any other site outside the United States. What's that? No, not Napster. Oh my God, what's it called? The biggest, no, not Nickelback, Napster, Nickelback, Netflix, the biggest streaming site in the world outside the United States, has all the Star Trek series to stream. Inside the United States, you needed Paramount Plus, or if you have just good old hard copy physical media, Star Trek Enterprise. It is again season 3, episode 2, Anomaly. 47 Yorktown says, hello, young sir. Hello, 47. And Yvette, the lovely Yvette, says, good evening, Bird and everyone. If you get a chance, Bird, drop into the OG after. Thanks. And by that, she means the underground at freethenet.org/underground. Open to everyone at all times. Keely Chow says, hey, everybody. Qapla Keely. Dan Van says, hello, Dan. Hakeem says, hey, Bird and all. Qapla Hakeem. Words and pictures says, Qapla Bird Play 5. Good to hear you. Good to be here. I'm usually out on Wednesday evenings. In tonight, so I can hang out midweek. Awesome. Words and pictures. The Traveler is here. The Traveler says, greetings, birds, salty turds, and nerds. Greetings, Traveler. Says, I need a nap, but I'm still at work. I'm sorry to hear that, Traveler. I understand. Yvette says, Words is on, it's on Netflix. It's on Netflix. Words and Pictures says, thanks to Yvette. And the Random Menace, using a 38-month friend of Karoga super chat, says, greetings from the future. 38 months of supporting the Anomaly called Birdo Prey 5. And that's because today's episode of Enterprise is Anomaly. Thank you, Random Menace. Dan Ben says, when this originally came out a few weeks before, remembering checking a website that had Star Trek spaceships on it, it had a sphere or Xindi weapon on there. I would have preferred not to have seen it. The Traveler says, Joseph, Yorktown and I are at around 38 months of membership. And Dan Van says, I also remember after the season 3, because I missed 2 episodes on TV, I bought it on DVD. The intro to the menu can be spoiler and show images and stuff. Yeah, that's when you buy hard physical media, it could spoil what's going on. FKHC 2005 says, Birdo Prey 5, who's the cat that won't cop out when there's danger all about? Right on, FKHC. Although I do not know who the cat is that won't cop out when there's danger all about. Certainly not Mighty Mouse. Mighty Mouse isn't a cat. It's a mouse. And Dan Ben says, if you haven't seen Star Wars, The Clone Wars, and you buy it on DVD or Blu-ray, it will have a big image of Darth Maul, which is a spoiler. And I guess somebody should have thought those things through. The Travelers is where we get to 48 months. When we get to 48 months, our 5 will turn black. Yeah, I updated those colors at some point. We'll see. At some point, the colors will be updated again, but not now. But sometime, I suppose, in the future. Dan Ben says, I don't mind a little spoiler for a season, but not something that big happening later on. Okay, guys, so we're going to go ahead and start watching season 3, episode 2, Anomaly, and headed to the screening room. I will count down and we'll hit play. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we have the Enterprise NX-01 going through space. And we're down. And there's Porthos. Porthos alert in the quarters, the floor of the captain's quarters. Porthos is barking, wants the attention of Captain Archer, calls him over. What's Porthos? Porthos just senses danger. And there's a book on the floor. What happened? How'd that book get on the floor? Archer, what are you throwing your stuff on the floor? You have a 3-year-old running around the ship throwing books on the floor, like Charlie, nephew O'Prey. FKHC says, Bird O'Prey 5, you're the cat that won't cop out. Ah, interesting. Thank you. Uh-oh. It's all the food is sticking to the ceiling. Nope. All the plates are sticking to the ceiling. It's just like, and now Bugs Bunny is going on his way to Albuquerque under the floor, knocking people about, and now anomalies are knocking cups of coffee off the floor, and it's it's never good when the engine does that. Shutting down the reactor. They're losing main power. They're lucky they're not all dying. There's random lightning bolts shooting out your warp core. Dan Ben says the sphere was interesting to some, and puts in a couple of doggy emojis. The Travelers is back to work for me later, guys. It's been a long time getting from here to there. Take care, Traveler. I hope you enjoy the rest of your time at work. We will miss you. Dan Ben says, Bird of Prey 5, did you ever like the idea of getting a giant-sized poster from a magazine, Always Stay Out, where there were some too big, some smaller posters had like a staple gap in the middle? Did you ever like the idea of getting a giant-sized poster from magazines? Dan Ben, I do remember getting a couple of posters from magazines, and I enjoyed them. They were interesting. But then at some point in my life, I decided that I was above posters. So the only way I'd put up a poster was if I get it framed. Then it just got too expensive. FKHC says I have both the TOS Enterprise and the Enterprise Space Shuttle. Very cool. Dan Ben says they should have done some type of anomaly like this in Voyager. FKHC says the slower opening theme song is better. Or was better. And Dan Ben says, sorry for the autocorrect on that last message. Back in the day, Star Trek magazine had two different size posters. One was the giant one, and the smaller one you pull out of the magazine. All saying there's no atmosphere. Artificial gravity is down as well. I brought up the sex appeal in this episode. The Makos, apparently they don't mind getting dressed together, men and women, kind of like Starship Troopers. LDG Free the Net says, sorry, I'm late. Howdy, welcome LDG. So they found this ship that's been attacked or something, has no atmosphere, and has no gravity. So they've got to be wearing gravity boots. FKHC 2005 says the sex appeal is up to 11. You open a door, you could be killing somebody. Oh, it was already a vacuum on the inside, luckily. Lucky for him. Again, no atmosphere inside those doors. So lucky they're not killing anybody. Quite awkward. No gravity and no oxygen. I guess they had extra money to spare that they could do the 0G. You don't get to see 0G in Star Trek all that much. Of course, now they have ran out of that extra money, so they've got to go back to gravity. These people have been dead for less than 2 days, says Archer. Whoever attacked them is still out there. Reed's going to try it again. Bring the engine to 40%, and the lightning bolts are back. Turn it down. Shut it down. Words and Pictures says, oh, nice, Dan. So this is so gravity bodies. Dan's other post I remember is the Enterprise NX in the purple cloud that surrounds the expanse. Dan Benz is a zero-G Star Trek First Contact on the deflector. No, there's had to be zero-G in Star Trek before First Contact. I mean, if nothing else, in the motion picture, there were people that were outside in zero-G in the motion picture, but maybe even before that. Though I would guess, if I had to guess right now, I'd say the motion picture would be the first zero-G shots we've seen. Not a lot, but clearly zero-G. Yeah, I don't think in the original series we saw a zero-G scene. Possibly in the animated series, but I'm not sure. It would either have been the animated series or the motion picture. Through the motion picture, I don't think there's more zero-G. Certainly nothing extensive zero-G until Star Trek VI. Yeah, the undiscovered country, which on Kronos 1. The massacre of Kronos 1 is the first extended zero-G scene in Star Trek history in production order. Dan Van says one of the posters he remembers was the Orion slave girls from season 4. Dan Ben says Battlestar Galactica 2004 also had some officers showering moments. FKHC 2005 says, yep, that unfinished scene in the motion picture. Now they're trying to download their database on Enterprise. Tucker's got a bar of some sort. How to stay hidden. Apparently his enemy was not really into 3D thinking. He had a pattern of 2D thinking. Turn on the warp reactor so that those thunder lightning bolts can actually do some good and zap some of the bad guys who just happen to beam out. But they got one of the bad guys. Words and pictures is isolated zero-G areas. I had Yvette's mind doing calculations on energy. I hear Yvette's mind doing calculations on energy. Stan Lease is not rewatching Discovery season 1 with Salty. Sure, hell no. No, I have zero reason to rewatch Discovery season 1 with anybody. But no, if Salty wants to rewatch Discovery season 1, good luck to him. Dr. Phlox recognizes the species. He is not an expanse species. Dan Ben says, I thought you couldn't download the ship database according to Star Trek TNG, The Last Outpost. Well, Dan Ben, I don't know. I don't remember exactly what they say in that, but that's hundreds of years in the future. It doesn't mean that anything, just because it was true at the time of The Next Generation, doesn't mean it was true at this point in time. Obviously, at some point, you can download a database. I mean, you can download a database now. What doesn't make sense is why downloading the database would destroy the database copy you have. It wouldn't really be destructive. By all accounts, downloading a database would just be making a copy of the database. And if they knew what they were doing, they would download it without anybody even noticing it was being downloaded. It certainly shouldn't have destroyed the database for Enterprise. It would have just been a second copy or a third copy or however many copies they wanted to make. To be honest, the fact that they even make the database private to begin with kind of seems to go against everything Star Trek about it. You would think they would have a major database that would be public, like that, just by virtue of having a universal translator, that you would have all of your history and all of your content available for free in multiple languages for the computers of other aliens to use to try and figure out your languages. This guy says, you're too civilized to torture me. Archer says, this guy's telling him that if you don't have Trillium D. You clearly don't have it. So this is actually a surprising wake-up call for Archer. And he tells them about, well, once you're forced into doing the things that my boss needs to do, it won't be all that surprising. Uh-oh. Like, they let you in, but they don't let you leave. This section of the expanse is ideal for hunting. They warn him that getting into the expanse is easy, but getting out's going to be hard. Although, if I recall, getting out really wasn't all that tough. Rarely an inconvenience. Carlo Albanese, hey Carlo, says memory alpha equals the library of Alexander. Dan Ben says TOS had memory alpha, a place people could go and access information from Federation world. Carlo Albanese says, have you tried turning it on and off again? Should have phase cannons within the hour, says DePaul. Carlo Albanese says only Mamo Pray Day. What? Only Mamo Pray Day? I don't know. Welcome, Carlo. Dan Ben says, Vertebrae 5, this guy says the expanse barrier lets you in, but it doesn't let you out. But later in season encounter, Andorian, and then again, the ship is at Earth, so somehow it gets out. Yeah, but maybe that's once you get it covered with Trillion D. That's all I can think about. Otherwise, it really doesn't make any sense. Carlo Albanese says, although every day is Mamo Pray Day. That's true, Carlo. Stanley says, Dan Van, like a lobster trap. Carlo says, I think Bird is going backwards in time. Fear keeps them trapped. Tucker says, every species seems like they're gunning for them to just be a mighty big target on the hull. They've been tracking the ion trail for 4 hours. Still no sign. Nothing. The trail resumes after 70,000 kilometers. Yeah, and the trail just stops. Very, very suspicious. Article, the K rates don't match. It was over 9 hours, and the other one is less than an hour old. Well, obviously, they stopped somewhere. It's shaking. Why is it shaking? He's not reading anything. Oh, how convenient. A cloaking device. A cloaking device that causes microfractures on the outer hull. Carlos says there's a lot of ironing in space to keep so many trails. Words and pictures is Death Star. No, it's not a Death Star. It's not even a moon. Malcolm is saying whoever built this took a great deal to conceal it. They can't scan the interior. Their sensors are being deflected, says Paul. Archer wants to go in orbit. Paul is detecting a portal. Polyduranium. Same metal as the Osaarian. An Enterprise can't fit through it. Now, get the pod ready. Dan Van says it's called a cloaking field generator by the sphere. It's not a cloaking device, as seen previously. There it goes. It does look a lot like the Dyson sphere, but it is so much smaller than the Dyson sphere. Enough energy running through here to power a dozen cities. I wonder if that's a dozen New Yorks or a dozen Cleveland. The modules have a breathable atmosphere. The whole thing is breathable. Doesn't make any sense. Apparently, this is the storage location of the pirates. We've got a lot of spare parts just sitting here. Feels like a trap, says Words and Pictures. Carlos says, I wonder if they built the Dyson sphere in TNG that they once came from there. This is about 1,000 times smaller. If these were both on the screen at the same time, the Dyson sphere would take up the entire screen, and this would be a dot in the background. Dan Ben's bird. So did the aliens put this hatch on the sphere, or was it part of the sphere? That's a good question. Later on, Degra says they've never gained access to one. Yeah, that is a very good question. I would guess they put this access point on themselves. Taylor Swift greater than Disney Star Wars and MCU is in the house. Qapla. Carlos says the pyramids got smaller over time. Words and Pictures says, are the dark gray suits the new red shirts? Have to see. And Travis is beaming back all the stuff that the pirates stole. Trip had a little accident. He's got a burn. Could have sworn the injector was depolarized. When was the last time he slept? Yeah. The neuro pressure is not helping. He only had one session. Neuro pressure requires intimacy, making him uncomfortable. Just give him another injection. It's not meant to be taken for an extended period of time. There's another treatment that might be helpful. A mud leech. One on your chest and one on your abdomen before going to bed. But don't roll over, you might anger them. Maybe an hour with the fall isn't so bad. They got 80% of their antimatter. They're looking for the rest. We'll have warp drive online in 30 minutes. It's over 1,000 years old. LDG says, hey, by the way, Bird, are you 2 for 2 now from earlier? 2 for 2 on what, LDG? I don't know with what we're speaking. Words and Pictures says picture in Archer's quarters look like Ferdinand Magellan's voyage of circumnavigation, the Trinidad, a carrack ship, a warship, and 4-mast gunship. Carlos is LDG. Love days gone. LDG is sleeping. Oh, the nap, yes. The nap was a good nap. To know what he knows about the Xindi. What species of Xindi? What did they look like? He doesn't remember. He's too civilized. His threats aren't convincing. Dan Ben says the Enterprise's brig makes its first appearance in this episode. So Archer is actually using the airlock to torture the guy. Hello, Daniel's Hot Topics. You remember this episode? Words and pictures is sometimes good people have to take evil action for the greater good. I don't know. Is that true? Dan Ben says the rifles used by the Osaarian pirates were repainted Starfleet phaser rifles from Star Trek First Contact. And Daniel's Hot Topics says, I love Enterprise Season 3. This was my first season of any Star Trek show I ever got. This was Star Trek meets 9/11. This was great storytelling. Dan Ben says in the first draft of this episode, the Osaarians were initially to have been Orion pirates. Would you have preferred that? I don't know. I mean, part of me is like, why do you need another pirate race? The other part of me is like, does it hurt to have another alien race? I think I could have gone either way. I don't think I really care. And he got their attention. They're coming back. Oh, she's back in. Can you take out their engines? He asked Malcolm. Not without risking their main computer. So risk their main computer. Hull plating's offline. They're targeting the reactor. Okay, take out their engine. And the ship manages to controllably crash into the sphere. Dan Ben says, for the first 2 seasons of Enterprise, there are no fatalities among the crew. The first death of a crewman, in this case, crewman Fuller. Really? There were no deaths those first 2 seasons? I thought there might have been one. Huh. It's interesting. I didn't even notice. Mercy is not a quiet, will serve you well in the expanse. Daniel says Hoshi Sato looks so awesome. If the good Lord came to me and said, Daniel, you can pick 5 wives to keep forever, 7 of 9, and Hoshi Sato would be among them. Sam says, I do like when the ship scrapes along the side of the sphere. Carlos says there's some great ship porn in this season. And Archer gets to see the at least 90% of the Xindi database, which Hoshi was able to steal from pirates. So now they have some idea of the people they're looking for. Words and pictures is what happened to the isolated floating 0G coffee. I assume it just went ahead and made a mess. And, he'll have to have his porter or someone on the lower deck staff of Enterprise will come clean up the coffee that went all over his room. Or possibly Porthos. Porthos may have drank the coffee that landed on the floor. Because you can count on beagles to clean up messes of foods and drinks. Hopefully it didn't affect him in time. Hopefully though time was just fine. FKHC 2005 says, in a bad Scottish accent, Captain, she can't take much more. Captain, she can't take much more. Dan Ben is apparently the first Enterprise officer to die was in this episode. Words and Pictures says, oh no, that went quick. Yeah, that was a quick episode indeed. Yvette says, thank you, Bird. Thank you, Yvette. And Kyle asks, how is Yvette doing? Daniel's Hot Topic says, this season was so controversial of any Star Trek season. I remember arguing and defending this season with a friend of mine who was arguing this season should not have been made because it was, I assume it means it was not, it was anti-Star Trek. Words and Pictures says, many thanks, Bird. I enjoyed you, the show, and chat. Thank you, Words and Pictures. And Commodore Boom Productions says, thanks. You are welcome. Jim's Landscape LLC. Again, guys, remember, check out his 8-second video. Words and Pictures says, hey to Cody Guy. Hey, Cody Guy. Oh, there's Cody Guy waving. Sorry I missed you, Cody Guy. Daniel says, I wonder if the dog who played Porthos is still around. No, Daniel, I don't think he is. And Daniel says, but I fear the worst. Yeah, it's been a long time, and that the Beagle was already middle-aged at the beginning of the show. So yeah, unfortunately, Beagles just don't live that long. So anyway, guys, thank you all for hanging out. We're going to call it here, and hopefully Friday we'll be back for Bed Life. And we'll see what happens. So Qapla All, Bird out.